July the 5th, 1954, and the BBC's first ever television news bulletin goes on the air. There was no presenter, just a disembodied voice, and there were no moving pictures. But it was a start.
The French Union and Viet Minh representatives agreed on the subjects to be discussed.
The programmes came from Alexandra Palace in North London. From here, the nation first heard news of triumphs and tragedies.
Over to the newsroom.
The death of John F. Kennedy happened in Dallas at 12:25.
It's now feared that nearly 200 lives were lost when the coal tip at Aberfan near Merthyr Tydfil slid forward today. It engulfed an infant school and a row of houses.
And it was at Ali Pali that the BBC first started broadcasts in colour.
Good evening. And tonight, in France,
well,
0 hour
sort of.
8 o'clock.
But there was soon a new home for news. It had started literally as an architect's squiggle on an envelope. Built in the 1950s, Television Centre in West London was positively futuristic. News arrived in 1969.
This is BBC Television News.
Television news in those days was a macho business and involved an awful lot of smoking.
I would have thought there might have been some point in having him explain this.
There were some women. One became a star.
About a car connected with an alleged bomb plot.
Revisiting the old studios, she remembered what an exciting place it had been to work.
What do you think of it, Angela?
Television studios that are empty look so sad, don't they? With all these pipes, they look like a sort of decommissioned power station, don't they? Because when I was here, everybody was working on typewriters, so there was a noise. There were banks of televisions everywhere where the material was coming in on film from people who were foreign correspondents working abroad. And there was such a buzz about the place. It was, I think, every news man or woman's dream to come and work at Television Centre in television news at that time.
The original news studios at Television Centre are still here. Reminders of a time when there was a lot less news, just 2 or 3 programmes a day, and it was technologically a lot simpler. But they're a shadow of their former selves. And the second studio, just across the way, well, that's been turned into a storeroom for old furniture.
3, 2, 1,
go out.
From these studios and their successors, the BBC covered history as it happened.
After an earlier confrontation down the end, which looked at the time like the kind of civil rights clash we knew from years ago.
I wasn't allowed to say how many planes joined the raid, but I counted them all out, and I counted them all back.
Dawn, and as the sun breaks through the piercing chill of night on the plain outside Coram, it lights up a biblical famine, now in the 20th century.
15 years ago, new high-tech news studios opened at Television Centre. By now, news was broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Terrorists attacked the heart of America with catastrophic loss of life.
Bankruptcies, bailouts and trading bans triggered the most tumultuous week on world markets in living memory.
This summer has created so many heroes, although some stand out more than others.
Reporters risked their lives.
After 114 days, Alan Johnston emerged, weary but free, into the Gaza night.
Sometimes the news was trivial. Sometimes, frankly, rather dull.
In to its amendment, the Home Office has indicated it is willing to think again.
And sometimes the news programmes themselves made the news.
Where thousands of acres.
Get security. Get security.
Okay. I do apologise if you're hearing quite a lot of noise in this studio at the moment. I'm afraid that we have rather been invaded by some people.
Television Centre was even bombed by the IRA. Title sequences have come and gone along with generations of presenters, reporters and off-screen staff. Now, television news is joining radio and the World Service in a new home in central London. Nick Hyam, BBC News, for the last time at Television Centre.